Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Rusty Tub. Today I thought I would feature the beekeeping that I've been up to for a couple weeks and kind of give you guys an introduction to the magical land of bees. I've been doing some breeding through Gendustry and upgraded the farm here, which some of you may have flown by and seen, but this farm is producing. I found a tree on Reddit and bred to its specifications, and I think it's producing 2 million apples a day. It might be more than that, but it is a ridiculous amount of apples. And that glowstone is there because these trees will not mature when their light levels are too low, so at nighttime they'll stop. But as you can see, I got a couple upgrades. The Draconic set has been upgraded with some help from Malak's super awesome Wither Farm, which I am so jealous of. And this building right here is the beekeeper's hut that I worked on for. I've probably been in here for maybe a week, maybe 10 days, maybe perhaps a little bit less than that. And what you see all these flowers and cactus and such, and some of this mycelium here. This is a byproduct of what the bees have been doing to the world, to my little slice of paradise here. All those lily pads. I had this whole area was overtaken with mushrooms. I think a couple nights ago I was. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So a couple nights ago I was. I was like being. I almost died from lightning strikes because these bees were attacking me with lightning. It was terrible. My armor didn't help me at all the trees have been cleared out of here. I had one set of bees that ate all the leaves on all of the vanilla trees and the forestry trees. These are still intact. You see my graphics are a little bit lower. I did switch to faster because the particle effects, you can kind of see I'm chugging along a little bit here, and a lot of that has to do with the farm, and some of that has to do with these bees. Um, so we're gonna dive right in. I've brought with me some supplies. What happened was today I was working on a new line of bees, the unstable line, and I hadn't really messed with them yet, and I wasn't sure what was going on with them. And I have this. This is my test bed, and I've got lifespan upgrades here so that the bees will go through one generation very quickly. And I use these 5 machines in front of me to pull traits from bees. I've upgraded the system a little bit. I've got some filing cabinets here, and these are gene samples from all of the species that I've progressed through. You can kind of see here. There's a sample. These are all pure specimens, 2 from each breed that I've worked through here, and many here, and you can kind of see like this has been running for 2 days. I've been grinding up bee bits for DNA, which I'm not sure I'm ever going to use. And then I've got some here that I'm trying to get specific traits from. They're in here from this genetic sampler. You can see this is the silicon drone, which is from Applied Energistics, and they are quite powerful. These bees are quite powerful. Let's see if I can hit my elevator here. There we go. Thought for a second the bee ate the bottom elevator block. And so I've emptied this a couple times today, but what the heck? That's interesting. Well, anyways, a couple times today, and if you look, I'm making diamonds. What a treat that is. The Draconic Evolution stuff uses a lot of diamonds, and a couple of the other builds that I've done have used a lot of diamonds, and it was kind of frustrating to have to set up many quarries to get the amount of diamonds that I needed for this setup. And I'll show off one last thing. So the first thing that I went straight to was these empowering bees, these empowering queens. And they have this ability to add aspects to an aura node. So I went out into the world and I found a bright aura node, which which wasn't even necessary because there's a bee that turns your ore nodes bright and pure. And you'll see here I've got a pure bright ore node with 4,000 in each of the base aspects. I think there are like 40 aspects in here, maybe, or something along those lines, and it is massive. That little dot started off with just 50 in each of these two aspects, and now after some time has 4,000 in each one. Just tremendous, and I'm really looking forward to putting that down and setting it up for some Centavis and Thaumcraft, and that's going to be fantastic. So let's get rid of these goggles and back to the task at hand. So the let's see if there's any evidence of it. I think I covered most of it up, but you see here this spot here. That's not intended, and the reason for that is this unstable bee. I think it was a vindictive bee. He sure was vindictive. He started destroying blocks through one generation. I mean, we're talking like one super hyper speed generation, and he kicked a whole bunch of blocks out. So what I kind of have to do is I have to go through here and open up stuff and really take a look at what's going on in the pipes. And the reason for that is if I come down here, I don't have any power. I don't have any power, and so these beehives are not working. And that's a problem. So let's kind of dig in here. Let's see. I want to make sure that my settings are right on this. AOE safe mode true. Maybe dig speed. Maybe turn the dig speed down. That's still super fast. Ooh, that's too fast. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what's going on in here? So this whole run has 3 pipes. Each of these towers of gold are the industrial apiaries, and they need power and they need some signals. And what I've got them doing is I've got them hooked up to this lever. That sends a redstone signal down here, and that redstone signal tells the cell to do a bunch of stuff. Actually, it tells the Ender IO pipes to do a bunch of stuff. So it says to extract with the signal, so it'll extract this inventory here. If I leave the automation upgrade in here, the bee will breed before it puts an output, and that's almost necessary to kind of cut down on the amount of wiring that you have to do. So that's good. And then it inserts power only when the signal's on. So if I toggle this switch, once it runs through its battery here, then it'll shut off, and I do choose to do that very frequently. So it looks like these are working fine. This tower's working fine. This one as well. And here's the problem. So let's dig out the ceiling if I can't access the problem. I think I see it right now. So there it is. So that's the troublemaker. So that bee destroyed my conduit, and thankfully it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's B, right? So, but yeah, a lot of my builds I like to have this nether brick as a space behind the walls to run pipes, and it gives me an indicator of where things are going. So I'm just going to hook this up. I need item conduit and energy conduit, and that's just for this bottom one. So that should hook everything back up. And we should be rocking again. And we are. Good. And so the last thing is, let me patch this hole up. I really am going to have to run through the whole building again and make sure that nothing else was destroyed. What a rewarding, you know, this is the first time I've ever gotten into bees, and they're rather thick. I think the that's probably the wrong word to use. They're very, you know, there's a lot of forward investment, and you don't see a lot of payoff for a very long time. And Warhound had talked about, you know, he had mentioned, am I using Gendustry? And I was using this mod Gendustry, but I wasn't using it properly. See, he destroyed some more stuff. And so really the trick here, and I'll give you the secret, you can write it down if you want, is that the first thing you want to do is you want to look up fertility with a colon. And if you type that colon in there with the word fertility, you should just get these traits from Gendustry. And I think the first one that you'll have good access to is fertility 3. That's what I started with for a very long time. I don't think I got fertility 4 for a while. Yeah, it looks like a bunch of... Well, you can get them from wintry drones. Okay, so if you were to go out into the world, this is one of the default bees. If you went out into the world, you grabbed a wintry drone and then you let it sit on an apiary for a long time and built up, you know, a stack of wintry drones. Then you could take the drones and you put them into a sampler, and it'll pull one of the 13 traits off each time. So each bee has 13 traits, and it'll pull, well, let me see if I can find a good one. So here's this is my production template, which I've been working on for 10 days. And you can see there it says the species, the diamond bee. So I just made a bunch of diamond bees. You know, whether or not it ignores day or night, the flowers that it will produce, and it needs to pollinate to be able to work, the speed at which, you know, all these things. And so this one has fertility 1. And fertility 1 really is only useful at the very end. And what that means is that each generation, when the bee completes its life cycle, it's going to create one princess, always one princess, and then 1 to 4 drones. And for working bees, production bees, a 1-to-1 ratio is good, because then you don't have any leftover bees getting into your production setup. So here, these are leftover from a bad mutation that I screwed up, and so they have got a different genome and they're not stacking, and that's causing a problem. But this thing isn't filled with bees anymore, and it will be like that chest is my dump chest, and I need to find a better way to handle it. But it will be when it'll be full of all these extra bees when I use this template, which I've used. I use this template for most of my trees, and you can check out how, you know, like if you want to make a template, you take a template in your inventory and you grab a trait, here, and then whatever you pull out for your output would have that trait in it. See, this is a combination of a genetic template that already has fertility 4 in it. Let me put that away. These filing cabinets are great for storing these samples, because they're all unique. But the filing cabinet, they don't stack. So like enchanted books, they don't stack, but they have the same object identification. Just the metadata is different. And these filing cabinets, I wish I would have used them earlier to help me keep my things organized. But they alphabetize everything and help you keep your stuff straight. But where was I at? Oh, the fertility. So you'd stick your wintry bees in here, and you'd pull out that fertility 4, and that would be the first trait that you would want for this imprinter. And then after that, what you would do is, you know, let's say you went out there and you got some rocky bees. Well, rocky bees have only 1 fertility. So you take your pure rocky bees, and you'd put 1 rocky princess and 1 drone in there, right? So they both have the same you know, you've done the same modifications to both of them. Let me see if there's an example here. Okay, so this is one that I'm working on right now. So this is the hermetic princess. It was a hermetic drone, or it was a hermetic queen that I pulled out of the mutator, and I put it in here so that I could get the two, so I could separate the princess and the drone. I guess that's the way I think of it. I know that's not really what's happening, but now you notice that it only made one drone. So if I could put these in my automated stuff, and I would never get. The purpose is to get drones so that you can sample them, right? Because the drones are the only thing you can get more than one of. Well, if I did it with these two right now, I would never get more drones to sample. So what I do is, and what I've done in the past is I use this test bed, and I separate the queen. To back up a second, most of my stuff is, I do a combination. And here I get a new breed because it's a guarantee, right? And then I go in here and I take the queen and I open it up into these two, and then I take these two and I put them in here. I just have just enough lab works to do that, and that's going to give them these traits. And I probably should make a new one without the temperature tolerance on it. But now you want to be careful because some of the traits, you see all these ones that are missing. I'm not specifying those because as I was going through the ranks trying to find attractive genetics to splice into a production strain, I wouldn't want to overwrite speed. Like I wouldn't want to have my best speed, maybe it was fast, and then use that on every bee, because if I bred fastest bee, well, I'd be overriding that. So here we go. Here's the two here, and these both have fertility 4 on them. If you ever need to check, you can. This will be where did I put it? There we go. This will be an instrumental object for you. The BLizer. It really gives you a lot of information. You see. So we take my Rocky Princess here. And I shift left click it. I don't have any honey. Bollocks. It does require honey. Let's see. Or honeydew works as well. And here we go. So each of this 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the different windows, I guess you could say. So you could say that each bee has 5 windows of information. So this is the information of the first bee, lifespan. Another really powerful trait to get is the shortest lifespan. So I would say, down here I would say lifespan. Oops, can't spell. Lifespan. And I would go over here and I would say, okay, what I want shortest. Longest is good for production, and shortest is great for breeding, for genetics. So plutonium, cyanide, radioactive, nuclear, unstable, son of a bitch. Fulgaric, cultivated. This will be the first one that you have that has shortest. I think it's the first one. Visible, that's a fun one. Transmuting, yeah, okay. So cultivated will be one of the first bees that you breed into, and I really recommend that mutator. Holy cows, I went through like 8 levels of breeding by doing it manually, waiting for mutations and then purifying the mutations by hand. What a nightmare. Ugh, yuck. And I wasted so much time. So use that mutator, and that'll get you, and then you could breed up a bunch of these cultivated drones, and you can sample shortest. And so between shortest and fertility 4 in this thing, you're going to be, let it cook overnight. You're going to be swimming in bees that you can sample, that you can grind up. You can do a bunch of stuff. This is the genetic replicator. I don't use this one. It creates a queen from a template, and that's really powerful because the only way to get queens is out in the wild. And I pretty much would just throw away every ignoble queen that you ever get. And I say that because I spent, I think, 4 days trying to breed. Now that's an exaggeration, but at least an entire day, maybe 8 hours, trying to get common drones isolated. And the problem with common drones is they like to mutate into other species. You get any kind of variation while you're trying to stabilize the common drone. You know, and like one time you get a forestry in there, or forest bee in there, and then it turns into something, you know, it turns into cultivated. And then you gotta filter that back out, and it's just a mess, right? Well, my common queen that I finally stabilized was ignoble. I got 3 common drones out of her, and she died. Pristine, pristine queens will never do that. Rocky bees are great for that. And before I let you go tonight, I'll show you how beneficial a quarry can be. So let's see, what was that? Oh, last thing. So hermetic. So this should be done by now. Not done yet. What else can I show you? So this is the imprinter. You can use the bees or the. You take a template in here. I think I showed you that one. The transposer. This is how you duplicate. So I have my one master copy, and I'll put that here as the template, and then I'll take, you know, one blank sample. And if I put that in here, it'll inscribe that on there, kind of like the bibliography book enchantment stuff. So I don't want to do that, but that's handy so that you don't have to have a million of these things. And then the mutagen producer. I thought I was going to have to get into IC2 to produce see, how do I show you different ways to get this mutagen? So how do I get mutagen? Uranium, that's industrial craft too, and that produces an enormous amount. Redstone is next to nothing. I really wouldn't bother with redstone. I just feel like it's a complete waste of resources. I think this is the refined. It's been processed a couple times. And then what I was going to go for was, this is what I've used in the past, and it produces a great deal of mutagen. But how do you make that? You need all this. How do you make that? You got to go through this whole process. You have to have purified crushed, which comes from an ore washer, which goes into the centrifuge. But you know, the ore washer, first you have to have a macerator, and it all works on different energy. And what I found was that yellorium actually works. I mean, how straightforward is that? Glad to have big reactors. And then the next thing here is, like, let me see if I've got a bee that I want to mutate. Let's see. So destabilized. So what I do is I press U on it, and then I go to the left here, and I say, okay, this is what it produces. Breeding. So if I breed it with an electrum bee, I can get a fluxed bee. Well, I don't have an electrum bee, so how do I make that? Auric and argentum. So I think I have an auric queen here, and an argentum bee? I don't know. Let's see. I might not be up to that yet. I swear I've got one, but see, I made some of this. Let's look here. Argentum. How do I make this? Modest and imperial. So I definitely have that bee somewhere. So yeah, this really is what I've been up to in the bee house for the last week. I'm excited to get these Esmeralda drones going. That's really cool. You saw the jelly beans, I think, earlier. I combined a time bee with a lordly bee. So it's a time lord bee, and it made a doctoral bee. If you've got any Doctor Who fans out there. And it makes jelly beans. Man, I don't know the references there, but I do find it amusing still. Argentum bee, where are you? Plubums. Certus, that's going to be another fantastic bee to have. Maybe I never made one. Oh well. I swear I did. Well, we could make one right now. I'll show you the process. So this is imperial and modest. Okay, so I need a modest bee. First I need an imperial. So here's some that I already have going on. There's imperial. And these are the leftovers that I haven't, inscribed over yet. I do that often enough. But these obviously I've used to breed before. So let's see, I got an Auric and an Imperial. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an Imperial Queen since I have the template. That's my strategy. So I have the template. I need to go here. And I'm going to put this, I'm only changing just the species. And then what I found is that it's only necessary to change the species if you're just about to mutate it. I thought that you had to do all the genes and everything, but really what the mutagen is, the mutator is doing is it's checking your two species and it's giving you the vanilla default mutated queen. That's pure. So you don't have to worry about the traits that you've got going into the mutation, and that's pretty handy. So I'm going to take this Imperial, and it said I needed a Modest, right? So Modest is one of the defaults, and that's some extras that I had bred up. And so shift click, and here's the 2, and I can get the Argentum bee out of it. So here it's going to mutate this Argentum bee, and then I take this and I come over into pick one of my apiaries and I throw it in here. And I let it cook, and it's got that lifespan upgrade, so it's going to break it down really quickly. And see here, so here's the hermetic, and before we only got the 1 drone. Now we're getting 4 each time. So what I'll do is I'll take these, and I'll throw them in here, grab a sign for it, because it helps me to keep organized. Gosh, that frame rate is tough. And this is hermetic. We activate that. I had shut this off like out of panic because I thought they were destroying the building. Scholarly is not working. I'll show you how I recognize that in a second. So the scholarly, if you look in the upper right hand corner, it says hostile environment. If I'm just recalling from memory, I think that this line of bees likes desert environments, and they actually use books as a flower. You'll see this bookshelf here that I put in. And now he's happy. So this will tell you if it's working. The check mark is to shut the machine off manually. I use these switches to pipe a whole, to control a whole set here. So this is tomorrow. I should have a couple stacks of hermetics, which I can throw through the sampler. I can get the species, stick it in the tank, and whenever I need hermetics, then I can always pull it back up. Let's look at our Argentum bee. Is almost done. Hopefully this one gets me 2, and that's so that I can fix up the genes of the Argentum so that it breeds more, and then stick that into a tank, get it going, and then use the spare to make my new mutation for this and get that one going before I head off to bed tonight. Only got me 1. So then what I would do is I would go through 2 iterations. First I would upgrade it, and then I would stick it back into the short term, get the 4 out, take the original set to one of the other apiaries for overnight, and then take 1 new drone and mutate it with the Arc Princess. And that's you guys probably have that intuition of yourself. It took me a while to kind of piece together that strategy, and I'm sure I'm explaining it poorly, but such is life. Well, that was the process there. I'm not going to make you bother with that, but you saw, maybe you noticed now, I just noticed that I got a couple extra levels while doing that, and that's because of those diamond bees. Their effect is that they give the nearby players experience. So this is a different project over here, and what I wanted to show you was I've taken many bees out of this box, but it was full of these rocky princesses, which I got from my Silk Touch quarry. I haven't run a quarry for quite a while, maybe 2 weeks. And I had 40 hives, and so that meant I had 40 pristine queens, and that meant, that you can mutate the pristine queens any which way you want to, and they'll continue to breed. So you can see Dustin's got a big project going on over here. I'm always afraid that this farm is going to lag him to death, but seems to be doing fine, so I'll probably move that eventually so that I'm not getting destroyed. But anyways, let's see. Those are the queens that I would recommend to mutate, to change and to mutate. I've got this argentum here. Hit the switch. And there we go. And these will crank out, and I'll get enough to sample them tonight. So yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. One more quick. Let's see, 3x3. One more thing. Oh, see, yeah, it's kind of neat that I did that. So if you see that inconsistency? Well, that's more damage that stupid that stupid bee did. And then, oops. Oh, jeez, I don't wanna. I have screwed myself more than a few times with the pickaxe. It is too powerful. Let's see, I needed this one. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to do that all the way around the building. But as you can see, the upper level is a lot easier to see. That's the backside of each of the apiaries, and there's a common cord that runs all the way down through the bottom, and that goes around the whole structure. Let's see. Yeah, looks like you got more than I thought. But yeah, so that's the thing. That's the thing with the stuff, and it does the thing, and it puts the diamonds in the bucket. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.